Hello everybody! Today I'm going to show you how I turned this big thrifted men's shirt into a dress. That's today on Refashioning with Rachel. First, with the shirt tried on, I made a mark right under my bust. This is where the waistline will be. Then I drew a line straight across from that mark, and I cut off the bottom portion of the shirt and set that aside for later. I folded the top of the shirt in half and took a dress that fit me well and folded it in half the same way. I placed the dress on top of the shirt, lining up the folds and the shoulder seams, and I traced around the dress, adding 1 centimeter for seam allowance. And then I cut along these lines. Since I was cutting through 2 layers of a collar, the neck hole didn't come out very clean. So I cleaned it up in the back, and I cut around the collar in the front to make the front of the neck hole a little bit lower. Then with right sides facing, I pinned and sewed the side seams. With the bottom half of the shirt that I cut off earlier, I made a mark on the 2 sides and on the center front and on the center back. This splits up this piece into 4 equal parts. And then I made a basting stitch, which is just a really long straight stitch all around the edge. I pulled on the top stitch to gather the fabric until it was about the same width as the top part of the dress. I made a mark on the top part of the dress for the center front and the center back, and I turned the bodice wrong side out and put the skirt inside of it with right sides facing. Using the marks I made earlier, I pinned the skirt to the bodice, lining up the side seams and the center front seam and the center back seam. And then I sewed the 2 pieces together. Working with just 1/4 section at a time, I made sure the gathers were evenly spaced apart, and then I used a zigzag stitch to attach the 2 pieces. I unpicked and removed the basting stitch, and I hemmed the armholes and the neck hole simply by folding the raw edge over once and securing with a zigzag stitch. And now this dress is basically finished, but I decided to add some pockets with the leftover fabric from the sleeves. I sketched in where I wanted the top of the pockets to go. and I cut out 2 rectangles big enough to fit my hands. Since the bottom of the sleeve already has a hem on it, I don't have to worry about finishing the top of these pockets. So I just lined the top of the pocket with the line that I made earlier and pinned them to the dress. And sewed them in place. At the sewing machine, I folded under the raw edges of the pocket and used a straight stitch to sew it to the dress. When I got to the corners, I folded up the other side of the pocket and pivoted with my sewing machine and kept right on sewing. And now this project is finished. But I still had one sleeve left over from my original shirt, so I used it to make a matching scarf for my doggie. So, here's a reminder of how this shirt looked before. And here's how it looks now. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe if you did, and have a beautiful day.